Bonjour, bonjour all. Today is actually Saturday, and I came into the Architecture Museum to see for the last time my beloved statues that are going to return to the roof of Notre Dame very soon. But the signal in here is so bad that instead of going live on Sunday, I am recording this so you can all see it. So I want to show you the first thing over here is the rooster. This is the original rooster, created by Ville le Duc and Adolphe Victor Geoffroy Duchamp. This is the one that fell. This is the same one that the moment I saw him holding it, I fell in love with Philippe Villeneuve. But here it is, and you can actually see on here a little bit of, on the very back, which I can't get to, you see a little bit of the gold on here. I got here right when it opened, and it's starting to fill up. Who could forget this moment? The day after the fire, when we saw that site. But if you've not been here before, the museum's amazing. The actual exhibit about Notre Dame is going to go on until September, but the statues are coming out of it on Monday. So it goes until tomorrow, Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. And it is just filled with a lot of really amazing things. We have also pieces here of the rafters from the roof that burned and fell. These are also the pieces that went along the roof line, and they are redoing those now. They're actually pouring the lead into molds because some of these on the roof were just too thin. You could definitely see kind of the different thickness here. And then these are some of the pieces from the transept of the vault, and I'll show you some more of those over here. But it's really fantastic because they have all these really great videos, but look right out the window what you have. So it's a fantastic place to come to get a great view of the Eiffel Tower. I've never wanted a hard hat until I saw that one. I used to have to wear a hard hat sometimes at work when we were building new locations. Oh, look who's here. There's my man. And this is the general who passed away in August. What a nice man. But this place really is cool. And it was basically created under the M. Ville le Duc. So Ville le Duc was the one who thought that they needed to have a museum for the architecture of France. You have in here also molds. Some of these are copies. You have some real pieces that came from chateaus and churches, but a lot of them in here are copies, mold. But look at these books. These I've looked through these books before with Philippe, and these are the ones they're using for all of the details. And look at the numbers and everything on here. So these are the actual architecture plans. And look at them. I flipped through these. September 2021, I think it was, when I met Philippe. Absolutely fascinating. I would love to have. Look at that silhouette has returned. So you can see the roof was kind of in gray. That was not there, but now it is. And underneath all the scaffolding, my friend Mikkel was an amazing camera. Took some video and some photos the other day, seeing through the scaffolding where the roof, the lead has been laid. So that scaffolding is going to come down in June, and it is now June. So yay! So some of these pieces, these are the pieces that fell from the ceiling, and you see some of them have holes over there, and that's because they bore through them to get to the core of it, to test how they have stood up, also the age of them. When you look at these, the biggest thing with knowing if these could be used again was because when they were hit with water, the water, as the water is coming out of the stone, it comes down to the bottom of it, and when it gets to the bottom of it, basically turns this all into dust. So they had to see which pieces can be reused and which can't. But some of these pieces go back to the 12th century, 12th and 13th century. And if you have seen me write before about the stones and the medieval Louvre in the basement of the Louvre and about the markings, there are some of those same markings on here. So you see where the squares in there? That is some of the markings that the stonecutters did in the house, how they used to get paid. But these big holes here like this was done because they also did this to find, so they can match up the best stone, because the stone where these all originally came from, the limestone, they can't get that anymore. Basically, building Paris destroyed all of that quarry. But here is where they have, so each of the vaults, each piece has a different number, because every single piece is just a teeny bit different, because those pieces go in there and they later put the mortar in between to hold it. But it is also, each one is different, so they all fit in there like a puzzle and hold each other up. So all the pieces that came down from the roof, or from the transept, they saved every single thing. So there was a massive tent out in front of Notre Dame, and that tent has now been taken down, which is so exciting. So at first it was used to hold and catalog everything, and then it was used for the stonecutters to create the new pieces. And since that part is done now, they have taken it down. But you can see here where, I can't understand, or it's amazing that they know by looking at one stone and saying, oh, nope, that's A39 and that's A36 and this is where it goes. And how they even still see the marks. So when they were creating, if you've watched my Notre Dame ones in the past, I've mentioned how they created the axe, and there used to be one here, so we'll see if they still have it. The axe, and they created different ones to be used at different parts of the rebuilding process because of depending on when it is, so it makes the exact same mark. So because some of these, a lot of these are 13th century, these in late 12th century, they have certain ones that are made to match that, and then some that are later 19th century. But you can see now that these aren't Notre Dame, but they all have everything really. It's great. Saint Pierre and Saint Paul Church. These pieces in here. I've had so many people over the last few years send me messages or tell me that they came here to see all the statues because I've mentioned it so many times, and I really appreciate that because not a lot of people knew this was here. And so I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it if you get information from me or ask me for information, that when you do share it, if you could give me a little tag in that, that would be amazing. I spent an immense amount of my time, pretty much all my time that I'm not with clients, researching, so I could share these things with you. And so it'd be really great if you use that information to tag me on it. This is great, just all of in numbers. It's 100 meters long, 13 meters wide. There's 8,000 pipes with 115 stops in the organ. The spire is 96 meters high, 48,000 square meters of interior space, and 12 million visitors a year before the fire. And there's our statues. But over here, it's still so hard to see this. All of the coverage from around the world. This last one here, this here is the special magazine that they do every 6 months, and they usually come out in July, so I'm hoping there's going to be at least 1 or 2 more this year. So here we have a little model. I'm going to show you over here because this has some of the metal staples. So these go back to the 13th century. piece right there in that resin is where they polished it up and did tests on it. So 13th century iron. And again, another great video of them showing how they did all of this. I mean, just for research alone, for the architects and the people involved in this, they are even learning things. Like I've talked about the staples that Viollet-le-Duc added. It's just mind-boggling, all the stuff that they did. So this is, this shows you kind of a cut into Notre Dame. And look at how cute this is. At the end has a little map. But now we see all that, don't we? The whole south rose window. This one was done in 1840, this model. 1840. And you can see inside the chapels, and look at all the paintings in there. The ladies. The north side of the transept, the choir. You do have some pieces. These are pieces from Notre Dame. And these are pieces from the south door. And it's the life of Saint Etienne, who is the church that used to be where Notre Dame was on the island was Saint Etienne, and that's why the church at Saint Etienne du Mont is named after him. But these pieces go back to 1260. And there's other things in here, like a huge model of Sainte-Chapelle. Yeah. And so, sprinkled throughout here, we have some of these statues. And so this one, the first one, is of course St. Thomas. But St. Thomas is here. He used to be the last one in here, but he's here in the front because St. Thomas, that handsome face up there, is Viollet-le-Duc. And St. Thomas is the patron saint of architects. So he is here looking up. He's the only one that was looking up at the spire. The rest of them were looking away. They had their backs to the spire. And even on the ruler here, it says Viollet-le-Duc. But these are all designed by Adolphe Victor Geoffroy Duchamp. And they are, the inside, it is not solid copper. The inside is a structure made with lead, and then the pieces of copper were laid on top of it and shaped. And so there's 4 distinct different body shapes that he had. But I can't wait. These used to be very patina, very green. And they changed, but I think they will go back to that at some point. Here's some pieces of the roof rafters from 1220, done in 1916. But they were actually, this was the 12th, you see on there it says 1220, and then this was 1230 to 1240. And this is over the nave, and this is over the choir. And this is, they did, when they did the church, when they did the roof of the church this time, they did the same thing. So over the choir, that is what it looks like. And over the nave, which is the center part of the church, this is what it looks like. So they had 2 different things going. They're also cut differently. So this is when I mentioned on the tour at Notre Dame a few weeks ago about the acts and how they were going 2 different ways. So they would have different markings on there as well. But speaking of our guy Viollet, or not Viollet, Victor Hugo, we talked about last weekend. But this is one of the very first photos. This is 1841. Look, no spire. This is the letter and petition to restore Notre Dame. May 31st, 1842.
Notre Dame de
Today's
Paris,
June 1st.
1831.
Mr. Hugo. We have 4 more statues. So we have Saint Peter, of course. He's got his key. All done 1858 to 1861. Saint Bartholomew with his knife. A lot of these, they will actually have their instrument of their martyrdom or the instrument of their death, which Saint Bartholomew was gruesomely killed. Saint Simon. And then on this side, Saint Philip. He was killed with that cross, with a cross. He's also the patron saint of pastry chefs and hat makers. How about that? So here we have a little bit more Vieux-le-Duc. You know, I really wish that maybe they'll update this and put a bunch of stuff about my man Philippe in here. Like maybe look at Vieux-le-Duc working at his atelier in maybe his pajamas. And how about this? How much would you want this? Badly. I would want it badly. 1843. Vieux-le-Duc and Jean-Baptiste Lassalle. Look at this beauty. Drawn by Vieux-le-Duc. Do you know Vieux-le-Duc was actually self-taught architect? He went with his father and his uncle, who went around France, and they sketched. Look at that. Before the spire. I really can't believe that we're actually at the point where the roof is going to be completely visible soon. It's just amazing. So there's 16 statues that go on the roof. 12 of the apostles and then 4 of the evangelists. And the evangelists are seen here in as their kind of icons. We have St. John as the eagle. Each one of them holding a book, representing that they wrote a book of the Bible. St. Matthew was an angel. St. Mark as the lion. And St. Luke. I mean, it's just perfect in here because everything's red, isn't it? Look at this. And here's a little bit about the spire. It's one of the drawings by Vieux-le-Duc. And then you can see here, I'd love to have this one too. You have the spire with all of the saints, apostles. And so this is what they can't finish. You can see on here where they have, this is the roof line that's going to be put back. And so they have to wait until they finish the spire. So we talked about a couple weeks ago. They have to get the roof finished. Then they could put these bases in that's going to hold up the statues. And then they could finish the open work. That lower part of the spire is called the open work. Ah, look at that, there it is. Scaffolding's come a long ways in 160 years. And also cranes. I think the guys now working on it are probably pretty happy we have cranes. And here is a model of the spire. So this gives you a good view of how all of that goes together. And this was 1859. Auguste Bellou, he's the one who designed the base, and you can see the open work part as well as the inner sides of it. And this gives you an idea of how they created it outside of Paris in Normandy. Viollet-le-Duc also wrote a book about French architecture that they still use today. Here we have St. Andrew. Excuse me. St. Andrew with his cross, which is how he was killed. Which is, you also have the Scottish flag with the cross of St. Andrew. It's kind of more of an X than a cross. St. Jude. St. Jude is in the same pose as the same body as St. Thomas, our Viollet-le-Duc. And then, of course, it's always easy to spot St. John because he never has a beard. He's holding the cup. That was a miracle because he drank poison and survived. Some more over here. Another amazing video down there. And the great thing is they update this. So there's, last time I was here was beginning of March, so just a few months ago. And there's already some differences to these videos from when I saw them. These are all inner drawings of what those chapels all look like. And this is the Chapel of St. Anne. You have the Chapel of St. Vincent de Paul. A lot of this was created by Viollet-le-Duc. And these drawings specifically were by Maurice Ordo. And all of this has been restored and cleaned, and it's just, the pictures and the videos I've seen are just amazing. I'm gonna miss these guys, but I can't wait to see them fly through the air. Here it is, of course, St. Paul. His head was cut off by that sword. He was killed in 64 AD. Saint James the Major. He preached throughout Spain and was executed in 44 AD. This is Saint James the Compostela, so this is named after him, which of course we also have the scallop shell. He's a patron saint of Spain, Seattle, pharmacist, and oyster fisherman. Shouldn't it be scallops? Saint Matthew. He's patron saint of accountants, Italians, and perfume makers. Show you a little bit of that in a minute. And then St. James the Less. He was killed with that club. And sometimes with a stone, because he was also killed by a stone. But here's what's amazing, these videos. And these videos just show even younger people in their 20s. You're 20 years old. working to bring back Notre Dame. All that scaffolding is down. Get a little closer. He was just saying that in Italy they do the sculptures by computer, and then they just do the finishing touches. But in France, we don't do it that way. We do it by hand the whole way. Vive la France. That was on the tents that were in front of the entrance for so long. That one was so dirty for so long. Again, all this scaffolding is now done. The columns, the ceiling, everything's brilliantly white. Saint Marcel, who is the bishop of Saint Geneviève, his hand was always very white from people touching it. Be just amazing to be those people working on it. I think the worst part is the wax, because people put candles on it and the wax gets in. You see in the background the painted chapels. That's the very far side. Pretty amazing. They talk about the painting restorers as well as the people working on the wood carvings on the inside. Here is the copper. So look, you have a little, what looks like the rooster. And so these are corroded pieces of copper from 1859 to 1861, cleaned. And look at the, oof. A time lapse of the spire. So the second half of 2023. I remember last August when that was going up, higher and higher and higher, and it started coming down in December. It almost looks like Place de la Concorde now. So remember this part here in the front, the lower part that we see, that is built differently than the part on the opposite side, because this is over the nave and that is over the choir on the right. Amazing. I can't wait. So in this back little section, this is the end of it. This is where they kind of show about the timber. There's a little map over here that shows, I'll show you where it shows where most of them are all coming from. Oh, the painting is back. So they have all the different stages from when they cut them down to measuring. Here's some of the axes. I don't think I could walk up there. I think I'd get in big trouble. But as you can see, not a lot of people here. And here is the forest. So the empty circles are public and the white circles are private. So definitely looks like a majority of them came from private, and the triangles are the sawmills, because they had to have sawmills very close to where they were taking down these trees because they needed the green trees. So they were very fresh. Very quickly, they had them shaped into more of the square you see there, because it's easier to do it when it is a very fresh tree, and then they can let it dry. So you could see, if I could get in there, you could see down there, can you see the little tiny Notre Dame? So these were the two different kind of axes created. Oui, bonjour. So it looks like the video stopped recording at just when I was talking about the rafter and the wood that they use. So I'm going to run back there, show you the end of it with the stained glass and also the painting. But you could see, I'll show you here, the other side. This is on the side closer to the Eiffel Tower, and just how many great things are in this little section. So check this out, and we're gonna walk over there and we'll finish up over by that. So here's just the other side, closer to the Eiffel Tower, and there she is. Hey girl. But on this side, you have all these really great pieces from the different, mostly churches, but some chateaus. I mean, how amazing is that? This is, even though this is not Notre Dame, but this does give you a great idea of kind of how the church is in that upper story there, where it is, and there's no windows in any of this, but this upper story, that is called the clear story, and the clear story is usually clear glass, and because it lets in all of the light. But as you can see, there's not a lot of people here. There never is. When I got here, there was a pretty big line. I got here right as it opened, and it was a pretty huge line of people, but There's also an exhibition going on here about the metro. It's not only, the Architecture Museum not only holds all of these moldings and pieces, but it also goes all the way up to the top floor, and there's even stuff about contemporary design and the city. These pieces here are from the Fountain of Les Amazones that is over by Les Halles, and there's an amazing exhibit going on right now at the Carnavalet about that, and that was done by Jean Goujon, and he, of course, did some of the outside of the Louvre. Here is a little thing about the museum itself. So 1878 is when Viollet-le-Duc decided to create this, but it was during the Revolution that another amazing guy named Alexandre Lenoir, who was the one that was rescuing the pieces from the city, including Saint-Denis, where all the kings and queens are buried. He was rescuing the tombs, and he was going around the city and rescuing fountains and other pieces that he put in what is the École des Beaux-Arts. And then and after the Revolution, all of that was pretty much disbanded. Some of it sent back, some of it put into the Louvre and other museums like the Cluny. And then in 1878, my man Viollet-le-Duc decided we needed to have another museum. So this is it. Look at that. Some of those pieces are not here. I wonder where those are. But sadly, they don't have a book. I should look again. You know how I love a book. Look at that with the 4 evangelists up that. Excuse me, kid, don't touch. They shouldn't have that. It gives people ideas. Oh, there's Debbie. I'm going to take you back in here to the end, and show you the this. It's back here in this little side. You can see there's a bunch of other spires and domes. But in here we have a piece of stained glass from the sacristy, which is sharing the life of Magal Saint-Geneviève. And this piece was done in 1851 by Alfred Jaronnet. And the sacristy has been completely restored too. And then of course, look at this, amazing. So this is one of the paintings that was in Notre Dame. Of course, the other 22 paintings are at the Mobilier, which is at that amazing exhibit, which I want to do a video about soon. It is gorgeously restored. The paintings that were in there were so bad and so dirty with soot and everything, and they are just amazing now. And then what used to be right here was a bunch of stuff about the organ, but because the organ's been put back together, amazingly so, and that's the last thing they will do at Notre Dame for about a week. They will do to tune it. This is a she-wolf, the Louvre, which is done by Viollet-le-Duc, and it was done in the 19th century out of limestone. He looks kind of old and grouchy and very hungry. Said this was too damaged and to be restored. So this was an original. So then they copied a lot of the chimeras on the facade, and the towers had to be redone because they just, in all the years, they just were not doing well. But there is the wood, and as I got cut off, I was showing you the amazing axes with the little Notre Dame emblem in there. But this is the fantastic Architecture Museum here at the Trocadero. How would you like that in your bedroom to wake up to? But look at this door. This is from a church in Aix-en-Provence, the Cathedral Saint-Sauveur. And this really, like, coming here, you really get an opportunity to get very close to these things that you know, some of these things are very high up in the church. Look at the details on this. It's just the Bourg-en-Bresse. Look at that. I mean, those ropes, and oh, absolutely amazing. It's from a monastery. I can't wait. I'm sure they will announce it when they start bringing all of these amazing statues back, putting them back up on the roof, and I will be sure to be right there to see it and to share it with you. So definitely do come here, even if it's after tomorrow, Sunday, and visit these amazing statues that are here on the walls from these churches. And just, I mean, even the building itself, look at how amazing the building itself. But even the exhibit about Notre Dame will go until September. And some of these things are always here. So like this little model, the spire, that's always here. But some of this will probably go into the museum that they're going to put at the Hotel Dieu in years to come. And there's even pieces from former tombs. It's definitely Saint Louis up here. But look at how he used to have painting on him. Want to guess who that is? I would have to say that's Eve, wouldn't you? Look at that, she's all up in there. It's from Rouen, which is of course where our girl Jeanne d'Arc was killed. Oh, they used to have a huge model here of Saint Michel. And on here, it's very hard to see, but there's a tower on here named Claudine. But here we go. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me and taking a last little visit. I'm going to walk through here one more time by myself, take them all in, and say a little goodbye until we see them on the roof. All right, you guys, thank you so much. If you want, you can send a tip to PayPal or Venmo at claudine@claudinehemingway.com. And of course, if you're coming to Paris after December 8th and you want me to take you inside and check out all of the amazing things that Notre Dame has to share with us, let me know. It's already getting busy in December for just that. So let me know, and I hope to see you guys all soon.